Thanks, Magic, for your warm welcome, and Scotland Blockchain, my first time, well, it's my second time in Edinburgh. I used to work for Coca-Cola many years ago, so I've been up at East Kilbride quite a few times. So yeah, Richard Houldsworth, I'm the CTO and co-founder of a project called Excavate. Going back a little bit, I mentioned Coca-Cola, so after leaving Coca-Cola, I headed up an automated warehouse facility on the back of a production series of production lines. Started sort of cut my teeth in software development in the process room, and then left there and started a few Web2 businesses. One of which, one of my clients was waxing lyrical about buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. That was 2015, and I didn't quite invest at that point, so a bit of a pity. But more a voyeur into the industry, spent a number of years looking at various things. That led me on to Dr. Gavin Wood. He wrote the Solidity smart contract language, obviously, then realised that he wanted to build something that was more scalable in terms of its architecture. So he built Polkadot. Lucky enough, fast forward to 2023, lucky enough to go over to UC Berkeley, spent 5 weeks understanding the history behind the creation of Ethereum and blockchain in general, tokenomics, game theory, all the rest of it, and then went on to build a team, and now we're at testnet stage as a parachain on Polkadot. So what is Excavate? Or go back, why Excavate? So originally we were a sort of tokenization of real world assets project, but we were always looking to expand that over time. We've accelerated that forward now, and we've rewritten our white paper, Excavate 2.0, which takes, I don't know if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow was a very innovative psychologist back in the 50s, created this pyramid. Base level is sort of human needs like food, water, air, and then you climb this ladder to self-actualization. So we feel that systems should empower the individual. Often there's a reliance on some kind of entity, whether it's your parents, whether it's your employer, or whether it's government. We feel you should take back ownership of that control. That includes your data, your assets. So there's 3 sort of critical elements, we feel: digital identity, education, and digital assets. We've developed a number of applications within the protocol, sort of core applications that start that process. So we did a proof of concept last week on an application called RealX Education. It's like modular gamified learning. So at the University of East London, we had 3 computer science master's students delivering a What is Blockchain learning module to a class of local college students. The module was reviewed by an AI agent, so it was uploaded as a PDF of slides. Once that process is finished, then a sponsor then sponsors that module. We're looking at corporates that want to employ university students or give them placements. And then the next stage is the school or college books that module. And then the next stage is a university student that has a credential from the university to be able to deliver that kind of learning module, claims the module, and then they physically deliver it. And an AI agent then creates a series of personalized questions for each recipient, and then their impact score is aggregated, and then the deliverer gets paid according to the impact score. So, and then everyone gets NFTs, so proof of learning, and we're trying to align everyone's incentives. So that was sort of gives you a bit of a flavour. But today I'm going to be talking about a circular economy. So what do we mean by circular economy? So going back to the roots, so my co-founder Alex Ward, very real estate centric, real world asset guy, has got a number of real world businesses like estate agency, land acquisition company, traditional estate agencies. So he's got a network of real estate developers, and what we've done is we've created a protocol which mimics the process of a real world real estate developer creating a particular development, and then being able to tokenize each individual property. So imagine a real estate developer builds a 9-block apartment. They might sell half of those to a local environment, relatively easy, and then they might struggle to sell the other half. The idea is that they would then go through a KYC process, so digital identity, verifiable credentials. Once they pass that process, the asset itself would then go through a series of validations or verifications. Has it been finished? Has it been built? So is there a built certification? Have the permissions been approved by a local authority? All those, has it got the insurance and things like that? So all of those elements are then verified, and also a real-world asset price verification. So the real estate developer says it's worth £300,000, but what other kinds of real estate in that area with the same kind of credentials, what kind of price are they? So then you get this lower and upper band, and you can see where it fits. So the idea is that once all that process has happened, the real estate developer then tokenizes that property as an NFT. They then fractionalize that property into fungible tokens. They then list that on the platform. Potential investors will come along and they will secure or reserve a token. Let's say it's 100 tokens initially. Once that last 100th token has been reserved, that initiates an SPV to be created, which is the legal wrapper of that entity. And then each token holder now becomes, in effect, a DAO controller of that SPV through the token. The legal process then starts, so lawyers that have gone through KYC and KYB process would act on behalf of the SPV and act on behalf of the real estate developer. They would liaise through the app, so all of the documentation that is traditionally used in real estate purchases, that would be secured in IPFS with encrypted storage. And then once the sale is agreed, if the sale is not agreed, then the investors get their money back. If the sale is agreed, then the SPV is registered with land registry, is now the legal owner of that property. A letting agent in that area goes through the same KYC, KYP process. They then claim the property to represent the SPV, rent the property out, bring the rents along chain, and then it's distributed to all of the token holders. There's a secondary market for the resale of the tokens, and we're looking within the protocol to do a buyback scheme. So that's been a big problem with other protocols where there's no liquidity. We're looking to create that liquidity within the protocol. So I hope that sort of gives you a bit of flavour of what we've been doing. How does that bring full circle back to a circular economy? So the idea is that if you've got all of this identity, digital asset, data structure, if it's all stored or at least accessible on chain, so it might be stored off chain, but then the hashing of the documents is stored on chain, so there's provability of those documents. You can make a lot more of an efficient process and cut down costs and expedite the time involved with land and the whole development structure. So what we want to do is, with our protocol, is regionalise the protocol, because obviously there's regional differences both from a legal standpoint but also how that region is structured. So typically regions would be countries. We're creating potentially sub-regions for the larger countries. The United States typically would have sub-regions, and then areas could be counties and locations, cities or towns. So the idea is that once you've gone through this tokenization stage of an asset, there will be trading of that asset over time, so there's value accrued, and the potential is that you take some of that value and then you put it back into a sovereign account based in the geographic area of where that asset's from. And the idea is you then create an area treasury DAO where there's verification of community within that area, so a geolocation type credential, and then the community can propose how that money is spent on community projects, housing, environmental projects. It's quite a short presentation because I wanted to throw it out for questions, really. I know there's a lot to unpack there, but is there any, I'll go into a couple of other things that we're doing a bit later, but is there any questions about any of that process so far?